Hello, Noblesville. We got another athlete interview for you, and I'm really excited for this one today. Before I tell you her name, I want you to know that she is honestly one of the hardest workers and most determined workers I have ever coached. Our paths crossed a little bit when I was at Swim Mac and she was at Swim Mac. We were in the senior one group together, and I'll tell you the one of my moments, and she didn't know I was going to say this, but one of my favorite moments was after we had this practice, she just walked up to me and she said, "That was a really good workout. Thanks, coach." And that meant a lot to me because for her to come up and say that was a good workout, it took a lot because she loved to work hard. So that was one of my big moments at Swim Mac was Meghan Dupay, who is with me here, saying, "Hey, that was an awesome workout," because there were a lot of kids in the group, and she can attest, there were a lot of kids in the group that didn't have to be a very hard workout, and they were going to go home happy. But Meghan wanted to work, and if you could get Meghan happy with a workout, I knew I did my job. So I'm really excited having Meghan with us today. She's got an awesome story. There's some definitely some big pieces to this picture that I wanted her to have on here and share with you. So Meghan, how's it
Hey,
going?
it's going great. Wow, thanks for all the kind words and everything. But that's hilarious. And I might actually remember what workout that was too. It
Yeah.
was like a long freestyle workout, and you were like, I don't know, it was like a 105 or like a minute interval for like hundreds, and we were just going back and forth, and it was just so difficult. I think I remember it.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness. But
Yep.
yeah, it's great to be here.
Yeah. So Meghan, let's start from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Before we go, actually, I forgot a piece here. Meghan is a senior at UNC. So we were just talking about how her graduations keep getting postponed because of all this, but so that gives you some timeline of where she's at. She's a senior at UNC, and we'll go from there. And Meghan, if you could take us from the start of your swimming and how you got to where you're sitting here in a video chat with me all those years later.
Oh, wow. So I guess I have to start from the very beginning, which would be when I was about 7. So I started summer league when I was about 7. And so did my sister. But my sister, she really was the one who really got started into swimming before I ever did. I was always a huge soccer player, loved to run, still do. It's actually how I still really keep in shape at this point. But she was doing really, really well in swimming. She decided to get into club swimming at the age of like 11 or 12, and she just skyrocketed. And so my parents were just like, well, we're spending all this time at the pool. Why not have, our second daughter here go and join her so that we can just go to one place at one time and make everything simple. So I got into it, started swimming a little bit. I actually didn't like it at first, which is kind of ironic. But anyway, but as time went on, we moved down to North Carolina when I was 13 and she was 15, and we started swimming at Mac. And as time went on, I just got a lot better. And, especially my sophomore and junior year of high school, I got really, really good. And I was like, okay, I can see myself as a collegiate athlete. And my sister at the time was going to go to University of Kentucky and swim collegiately as well. So I was just kind of following in her footsteps. She's always been a great and big inspiration for me. I kind of was going along and everything. So I had come my senior year, I had a couple of official visits, one of which was actually Kentucky, which Allie, my older sister, she hosted me there, so that was fun. But I looked at UNC, which is where I ended up going. I also looked at Tennessee and NC State. And I really officially rested on UNC because of academics. And one thing that somebody told me when I was looking at where I was going to go to college was, if you fell down a flight of stairs tomorrow and couldn't swim another day in your life, would you be happy where you are at the school? And that really, really resonated with me. So you got to look at more than just the swim program itself. Of course, you want to look at the swim program because that's where you're going to be spending most of your time. And you also got to look at the team dynamic, the coaches. I love the team. I love the coaches. So that wasn't a problem for me at all at Carolina. Still do to this day. But yeah, you really got to look at the whole entire picture and how you really fit at the whole entire university. So fast forward, I went to UNC, loved every minute of it. And I was originally, I went into an academic advising appointment my beginning of my junior year, and I realized that I can graduate a semester early. So I decided I was going to. So that would put me at graduating in December of 2019. So going into my junior year, I knew that that was technically going to be like my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
So I started doing that. And at that time, Alex knows that I was originally a breaststroker, but I actually, during my time at Carolina, converted to actually a distance freestyler, which makes a lot of sense. I could see him nodding his head. He understands why that happened. But anyway, so I was working really hard, got off of college training and everything, and come January of 2019, I was feeling really tired. I thought I was just overtrained. Really just wasn't feeling well, and kind of just felt, the best way I can describe it was off, just off. And so I went to the doctor. They couldn't really see anything wrong. They just kind of chalked it up to me being overtrained. And I was so overtrained that I was just really not hitting the interval. I was going like 6 seconds off of my 100 free pace. It was terrible. So the only way that they saw that I could really actually get over what I was going through was if I just took a couple of weeks off. Since it was already January, I couldn't really do that coming up on February and March, it being, you know, a major time in swimming. It's the height of your swimming career. So I just kind of medically retired early and was just like, okay, I'll just focus on school and academics, and I'll just go through until December. As the year progressed, I started to feel it never went away. It just actually kind of got worse a little bit. So one thing led to another. I started to get tested in July, and then come early August was when I really realized something was wrong. And I was referred to one doctor to another, who finally referred me to an oncologist who diagnosed me with a rare form of ovarian cancer. Luckily, this kind of cancer was extremely sensitive to chemotherapy. And so I had to go in August. I obviously could not graduate in December of 2019 because I had to take the entire semester off from August to December to go through surgery and go through chemotherapy and get this nipped in the bud and move on. So I went in, had my surgery at the end of August, started chemotherapy in September, and I had to go through 4 rounds of it, and 4 rounds was 3 weeks, so a total of 12 weeks going through chemotherapy, and finished that in December, and by January was cleared and able to go back to school. And in March I had a follow-up appointment, and I'm still cleared and everything is good. So, you know, I'm just living my life, and here I stand today, you know. And the swim team was great going through that. I had a lot of my friends were sending me videos. Both the men's and the women's swim team sent me videos of them really cheering me on during this and sending me their love and support. They sent me gifts, they sent me videos, they checked in on me, and it just really goes to show you how much those relationships with swimming have really helped me throughout the long run. And even as a distance swimmer going into distance swimming, I viewed chemotherapy a lot like I would view a mile or 1,000 or 500. You know, you start off, you don't, it's not a sprint. You dive in the water and you swim strong throughout the entire thing, but you don't sprint to the end. And because if you sprint to the end, you're going to die out, you know, just die. So it was just kind of, you know, just staying as strong as possible throughout the entire thing, holding strong, holding steady. So I really do think that a lot of what I learned from swimming helped me a lot going through that experience. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of where I am today. And now I'm just home finishing up my last semester at Carolina and trying to figure out a time when I'm going to actually graduate. So there's that, but yeah.
Yeah. So you talked a little bit about what swimming helped you through your battle with cancer, but what do you think your battle taught you about swimming? I mean, that's a big perspective shift to be, you know, a college athlete in that environment. I mean, UNC is obviously a very competitive program. There's a lot on the line. And then one day it's, okay, now my shift is totally in a different direction that you probably didn't see coming. What did that teach you about what you were doing in the water in the past?
Oh, wow. The first thing that I think of is, when I was swimming, I thought swimming was pretty much everything because it was such a big part of my life. And I think a lot of athletes make that mistake of putting their sport first and before everything else, like making their sport what they do. And it almost defines them. And so when this happened to me, it was like, okay, you got to learn that there's so much more to you and there's so much more to life than just swimming, and you need to really learn how to compartmentalize that. I was a daughter, a sister, somebody who was going to school. I was a friend. I'm all these different things. And so understanding that you're a lot more than just an athlete or a swimmer, and being able to push through that and know that there's more to you, and there's that kind of thing. There's a lot more to life than just swimming. There is life itself. So
Yeah.
when it came to a point where I was like, oh my goodness, like am I literally going to die? It's it brings a whole new perspective of there isn't just one aspect to your life, and this one thing doesn't always just define you. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
yeah.
So you hinted to it a little earlier. Your sister ultimately was the one that kind of drug you into this sport,
Mm-hmm.
but you're obviously not the only swimmer out there who had siblings that were in the sport. And for those, I mean, Noblesville, you don't know her sister was a very successful swimmer, also swam at Kentucky, as she said. So, what was that like? I mean, day in, day out, there was what was it like having your sister there? Was it a good thing at times, a bad thing at times, frustrating?
I don't think it was ever really a bad thing. Um, because I mean, yeah, me and her were competitive, but we never let it get really, really bad to the point where she like wouldn't talk to me because I beat her in a set or I beat her in a race or whatever. It never got to that. And me and her have a great relationship to this day, and we probably will for like ever unless something drastic happens, but I doubt it. But yeah, she's actually now at UNC right now. She's studying to become a physician's assistant. So she's in PA school, and me and her right now are actually living together.
Yep.
So, our relationship and our bond is strong, and maybe even swimming together for as long as we did actually helped make it even stronger than it would have been. So, yeah, it was never really a problem. And I think that me and her are very, I guess, different in that way, because a lot of siblings, it could have become a problem, but it didn't for us. So I'm really, really lucky about that.
That's awesome. What do you think growing up and swimming with her was one of the biggest things you took from her? You said that she was a big inspiration for you. I think what was the main piece to that?
I don't know. I mean, I guess just seeing what she could do and knowing that success at that level wasn't impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So just kind of seeing that you can do whatever you set your mind to. I guess that was probably the biggest inspiration that I got from her.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, hands down, one of the hardest workers I have ever had the pleasure of coaching. Where do you think that came from? Is that something that your parents instilled in you? Did you,
Yes.
like you talk about your sister, that's something you saw with her? Or is that just something that is you and you just have that you can switch into?
No, I would not say that just came naturally to me and that I just all of a sudden came up with this. I was raised by parents who really taught me that if you want to get anywhere and to do anything in life, that you got to work hard for it. Yeah. So that's always been something that I've thought about and wanted to do. And then at the same time, with my sister and her being as successful as she was, she put in the work and she put in the time and she put in the effort. So I knew that in order for me to get anywhere in the sport, I actually had to put my heart and soul into it and work as hard as I could for it. So yeah, that definitely did not come just out of pure luck or anything. And there was a lot of times where, you know, it's 5 a.m. You're here in the morning, you're doing morning workouts, and you have a 7-hour school day ahead of you. You do not want to be there, but it's the idea of you just got to push yourself because you know that in the end it's going to pay off. And by just having that mentality and knowing that whatever is, it just whatever is hard, you got to work for it. You know, if it wasn't easy, everybody would do it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
That's funny. I'm glad you said that because I say that to my swimmers all the time now.
Yeah. Wow.
Awesome. All right, you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Oh, goodness. Okay.
All right. What was the most challenging experience you had as an age group swimmer?
Oh, wow. It was challenging. I guess it was going to morning practices before you had to go to a 7-hour day full at school, and then going back to practice right after school, and then going home and figuring out how to do homework, and then go to bed and wake up the next morning and repeat. Yeah. So, you know, and just trying to make sure that you stayed on top of academics and staying on top of swimming and everything. It's a whole lot of time management. So I think that was difficult, but it also is, time management is something I use to this day and probably will use for the rest of my life. So the sport of swimming really helped me learn how to prioritize. So yeah. I guess that was probably the hardest thing about it, but then at the same time, the best lessons that I've learned from it. Yeah.
We had this really big shift this year because our schools changed their start times. So all the older kids start school at like 8:40 or 8:45 or something like that. So we went from primarily doing our main workout in the afternoons to our main workouts in the morning now. And I think it's interesting. And yeah, you say you're kind of like, oh, that, and you think about it, when you've done it for a long time, you're kind of like, that'd be kind of nice just to kind of be done some days. But
because you get it over with first.
Yeah.
So, you know, you don't have the whole rest of the day, because I remember my school started at like 7:10.
Yep.
It was early. So we did not have a whole lot of time in the morning because the pool opened at like 5. So you only had like an hour to actually swim or do a morning practice. So our morning practices were more like drills and doing all this kind of stuff, which is kind of a good thing because then you go into school and you're not as tired as you would have been.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you had the entire school day to think about what your coach is going to have for you. Like,
yep.
Oh my goodness. So yeah. And then, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, kind of be grateful for that. I would actually kind of be grateful for that if I was still an age group swimmer. Yeah. But I guess you could see it on the flip side too, that it would be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Then you're tired throughout the rest of the day. But
yeah.
I don't
know. You could tell there was the first few months, you could tell it was hard for them. But
yeah.
Of course, then by the time we got used to it, they told us we couldn't have practice anymore because all this going on. So.
Oh.
All right, next question.
Yeah.
Favorite band or musician?
Oh man. Jeez. I don't know. I really I guess I'll throw down Rascal Flatts. I love them. Okay. And I like country music. So, you know, yeah. North Carolina, Southern, so yeah. You know, it fits.
All right. Favorite type of set in training?
Depends on the day. And it depends on how I feel. So I'm going to be weird with this, but there were times where I really liked doing like longer distance freestyle sets, because there are times where you can like just get in the zone and you just kept hitting your pace just over and over and over again. And when you're like in that zone and in that pace and you're hitting it where you want to be and you're feeling good, that's like it. You know that saying, like you get a runner's high, it's almost like a swimmer's high.
Yeah.
So I would say that when I do those kind of sets and I'm doing well at them and I am feeling great and I'm on top of the world, then yeah, I would say that those kind of freestyle sets are my favorite.
Yeah. Favorite food?
My goodness, I love food. I think all swimmers can attest that they love food. I guess I like spaghetti. I guess I'll say spaghetti.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the hardest you have ever laughed at practice?
My gosh. I mean, I have to go through so many memories to pull that one up. Hardest I've ever. Okay, I'll say that this wasn't technically a practice. We were warming up for a meet. We went up. Okay, this isn't college, so we went up to swim against University of Virginia, and we got there. I think we got there the night before, or it was the morning of, and we were just doing we were just off the bus, so we're doing a workout, like just work out your body, just kind of wake up. And our coach, I guess one of the swimmers, one of the senior guys just brought like this huge furry coat. And our head coach just comes walking out with like the hood up, and like it was like this huge like feather like all over him, just down. We still have pictures to this day. It's hilarious.
Knowing who your coach was, it's hard for me to envision that.
Yeah, I know, right? And that's what made it so funny, because he's just like, I don't know how to describe him. He was just kind of like I mean, he could be funny, but it was almost like a dry sense of humor when he was funny. So when he came out in like this huge fluffy coat, it was just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But oh my goodness, that was probably that one. Yeah, that one's in the books.
All right, so here's your last one, and this one's what advice do you have for younger swimmers? Where you're at in your life, and you've had this career, looking back, what is the biggest piece of advice you'd give to younger swimmers today?
If you really want to be like a really good, like a high collegiate level swimmer, I say to work hard and always go in and practice, keeping that goal in mind. But at the same time, don't let that goal overpower you to making you think that it is all that you are at the same time, because a lot of it's not just swimmers, a lot of just athletes in general they're defined by their sport. So I would say that yes, go into the pool knowing what you're doing at that time, stay focused, stay in it, but don't make it the be all and end all, because there's more to you than just the sport itself.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Meghan, I can't thank you enough for doing this. I'm sure it means a lot to me. I don't know what your thoughts were when you're like, I got to do this weird video interview, but I'm glad you're healthy and you're happy and things are going well for you, and you hope you get to graduate soon and you get to keep doing your schooling after that. And but I can't thank you enough for coming on here and doing this.
No, seriously, thank you for having me. It was awesome to catch up with you. I haven't seen you in like 4 years at this point.
It's been a while.
So it has been a while, but it's been great, and I love talking about swimming and helping the future swimmers of the world and everything. So if any of my words of advice have resonated with anybody, that's always great. So
yeah, awesome. Well, thank you, Meghan, and Noblesville. I will see you guys soon.
Okay.